Hello, everyone. This is Anton Garcia Fernandez, coming to you from Jackson in the state of Tennessee in the United States of America over my YouTube channel, Anton GF. Today is a sad, sad day for country music, which means that it is a sad, sad day for music in general. Today, just a few hours ago, on December 11th, 2020, we were struck by the tragic news of the death of Charley Pride. Charley Pride, who had recorded an album not too long ago. Charley Pride, whom I had heard on the radio doing some interviews and talking about his music and his life and his career. Charley Pride has left us today, December 11th, 2020. And to me, Charley Pride wasn't just a country singer. He was a symbol of humanity. We often concentrate too much on things that are different about one another instead of realizing that the things that unite us are far more important. Charley Pride wasn't the first African American to be interested in or to perform country music. Black string bands had always existed and recorded in the South and in the Southwest in the 1920s and 1930s. Harmonica whiz DeFord Bailey was one of the earliest stars of the Grand Ole Opry and unfortunately went very much under-recorded. African American families all over the South and all over the country used to gather around their radio receivers to listen to the Opry on Saturday nights, and that's precisely how young Charley first got into country music, by listening to the radio. He won't be the last African American to perform country music either, but he was there at the right time and he had all the talent in place. The late 60s saw the height of the fight for civil rights, and Charley Pride was there, and he had the right voice, and he had the right attitude, and he had the right personality. He was first and foremost a country superstar with a warm voice that was perfect to sing just about anything, but that was particularly good on soft, sweet, aching ballads. He knew exactly how to phrase, exactly how to approach each tune, and his audiences always responded to that. The humility, the belief in what he was doing, the sensibility, the humanity. All of that can be felt in his voice, and all of that is the secret to his enduring success. That's what I remember noticing the first time I heard his voice as a teenager. The song was Crystal Chandeliers. Oh, the crystal chandeliers light up the paintings on the walls. The marble statuettes are standing stately in the halls. But will the timely crowds that have you laughing loud help you dry your tears when the new wears off of the crystal chandeliers? I can't sing it really, but could probably recite the whole thing right now. The impossible love story of a simple man who is in love with a woman who marries into the upper classes. A little bit like Hank Williams on A Mansion on the Hill, that universal story that runs through many great country songs, Crystal Chandeliers. It's not easy to tackle a song like that and avoid sounding maudlin. Hank sure could do it, and so could Charley. I was hooked right after I heard him sing that song, and so I went out and sought out as many records by Charley as I could find, which wasn't easy for someone living in Europe in those days before the internet. Years later, while hosting a classic country music radio show on station WRVU in Nashville, I featured Charley's records heavily. The hits, Is Anybody Going to San Antone, Kiss an Angel Good Morning, Does My Ring Hurt Your Finger? So many others. Of course the hits, but also deeper cuts that you don't get to hear very often. It was always a pleasure when a listener would call the studio and request a song by Charley Pride. I was always always happy to oblige. My late father-in-law, who tried for a career in songwriting in Nashville in the 1970s, would often tell me about his fond memories of Charley, with whom he would occasionally play tennis in the Music City. He could remember a lot about those days. He could remember a lot about Charley. In the mid-2000s, I got the chance to talk to Charley briefly a couple of times backstage at the Grand Ole Opry. And though I was always nervous, he always made me feel at ease. Charley Pride was the definition of a gentleman, a sweet voice, as sweet when he spoke as when he sang. Beautiful, perfect manners, always a smile on his face, always ready to talk to anyone who approached him. And many people approached him backstage at the Opry. He was a man who had gone through difficult times before hitting the big time in country music, and he never forgot where he came from. He always showed great care and great love for his audiences. One of the biggest regrets of my life is not having been able to get him to come to the WRVU studio for an interview. We talked about it, but for one reason or another, it's something that never happened. I wish it had. But I have my memories, and we all have his music. And when all is said and done, his music is what is going to be left. His music and the mark that he has made in the history of 20th century art. Of country music, of art. A mark that goes beyond the color of his skin and its significance. Beyond the amount of number one hits and awards and concert performances, but a mark that also at the same time encompasses all of that, because all of that is important. When one thought that 2020 couldn't get any worse, one hears of the passing of a giant at 86 from COVID complications, apparently. The one and only Charley Pride, one of my favorite vocalists in any style of music. I couldn't really call myself his friend, but I felt like I knew him after decades of listening to his music. Such is his stature as an artist, and I know I will miss him dearly. Of course, the best way to honor Charley Pride is to listen to his many records, to dig real deep into his catalog the way I tried to do on WRVU when I was hosting that show in Nashville. To get to appreciate even more what a unique artist Charley Pride really was. His star will shine bright forever in that hillbilly heaven that Tex Ritter once sang about. Rest in peace, Charley Pride, and thank you. Thank you for everything. I know you don't know it, but you have made my life better by picking up a guitar and singing into a microphone. This is Anton Garcia Fernandez saying so long from Jackson, Tennessee on my YouTube channel, Anton GF. So long, everybody. So long, Charley Pride.